Hi, it's the man in the shack. Time to go through 1987, or through the main trunk of 1987. This is where it really diverges, because you're starting to see Battle Force 2000 was at this time, and so was the Renegades. And I've been thinking about how, like, because there's the main trunk of Joes, and then there's the those kinds of things which I would consider the expansion teams, and then there's things like the October Guard and the what I consider the apocryphal group, which was people like Shooter and stuff like that, and then the Friends bucket, which was people like Billy and Captain Min and the Blind Master and Storm Shadow, even that are characters that were outside of that were not Joes, but were part of were on their side essentially, and then of course the Cobras. There's a ton of Cobras, a ton of Dreadnoks, and all of the. I had also included the classic, the 1985 first class of Mask as part of this, because there's been a well, Hasbro says they're in the same universe, so who might have argue with it. So there's all these other things, and I don't. I've played with all of them at once before, and it's interesting to kind of get to combinations sometimes, and that can be done. But I think that the way that when I think of the vanilla way that I would want to run this character pool in the end, the idealized way, and the way that I'll set it up so that when it's when I would consider this thing complete at some point in the future, it will default to this main thrust of Joes are going to be set up to be the soldiers, and then all those other things would be set up to be either also soldiers or okay, so let's see. I'm explaining this badly. There's part of the way that I play or the way to approach playing this includes a couple of important parts. One, obviously, we're just pulling from the character pool, but there's the RPG overhaul thing, which allows the class functionality to work basically the right way, because anybody can have any weapon and anybody can have any power, and it allows the sort of specialization that has been lacking. Basically, everybody can be made to be what they should be, and use the things that they should use. And there's the restrictions are starting to go away, which is cool for me, because that is taking a big burden off of the notion of how much programming it actually takes to do that. The modder called Musashi is really kind of taken over as being the key guy making cool things right now. And that thing is the key to playing this game with Joes, the way that I've envisioned since the beginning anyway. The other part that's really important is the starting soldiers, and the way that the starting soldiers works now is that there's a configuration file, and you can say, I want these guys to be my starting guys, right? And you can say, the first 4 that you have on the list will be the ones that show up in Gatecrasher, and the rest of them are the first, whatever they call the first mission now, in War of the Chosen. And the rest of the people that are on that list will be in your armory. Even, as many as like this entire list would be on the armory. So my thinking is that as I'm playing this, it's like the part of the game of like scrambling for random soldiers and stuff is not a part of the game that I particularly enjoy, and I'm perfectly happy saying, all of the soldiers that I ever want to have will just be in my armory when I start the game. And in fact, I want it to be this list in this order, and have, and I want them all to be preset to this soldier type class that I need to have for the RPG overhaul. So, pardon me. So what that means, though, in terms of like, okay, I've got this, and now I'm going to have all these other things like Battle Force 2000 and stuff. Those I want to be the extra things. Those will be in here, like Battle Force 2000 would be in here as, also soldiers, but not in the starting soldiers. So they wouldn't be in the armory. So that when you find soldiers for rewards, or you can buy them on the black market or whatever, the other sub-teams would show up over the course of the game, right? You can collect the entire October Guard or whatever, if that's what you wanted to get. And they could become soldiers in there, and you could add them in, and that's a game in itself, is seeing if you can randomly, seeing if you can collect the different sub-teams, and so that feeling of I'm finding something is still there. I just don't have to worry about it with the main trunk of guys, because when I say any given mission, I don't want to have to sit there and wait to find Alpine Bazooka and Quick Kick, because if I'm just starting out with a handful of guys, let's say I've got the original 13 as my, they're all in the army, but I've got to search for everybody else. That was kind of grinding on me, because it wasn't giving me what I wanted to be able to focus on, which is I want to take out who I want to take out. I know who all these guys are, so you can start making your bonding pairs right away and that type of thing. It's like I don't have to hope that I come across both, all three of Clutch, Rock and Roll, and Breaker or whatever. I mean, I start with them anyway, but the little, the ones that should be together, they're all there available already. And then you've got this extra game, which is I've got these other teams, and then all the Cobras could be Dark VIPs, and then everything is hunky dory. Oh shit! Didn't mean to do that. Hawk character. All right, so forgetting about that tangent for now, and let's look at some models. We start at Backstop, who has benefited from the size. He's a big dude, and now it feels like it. He's got a big armored middle, and this helmet is the same design that I had originally come up with, and these pants are the right color, and this is from a new set that has given lots of joy to this thing. This is a set of BDU arms that has pauldrons on it, and let's see. Okay, so let's go. Let's say here we go. I'm gonna crush some fucker. There you go. Backstop. Angry. Alright. Chuckles. This is one of the greatest triumphs that I feel like I've had here. Oh boy. I got his Hawaiian shirt to look correct. It's the correct pattern and the correct colors, and his legs are correct. He can't use the sleeves that roll down, because the Hawaiian shirt would only be an actual short-sleeved shirt. So he's going to have to still live with this until there's some other option for the short sleeves. But for now, I am just busting at this design, because I never thought I would be able to get this to look right. But there you go. That's patience and people still making stuff. So and he's on the bigger side too. He should actually be wide, but I don't know. Modern, the more modern take on Chuckles has had him smaller and leaner. but the original Todd McFarlane, actually, who was the very first one to ever draw Chuckles, when in Todd McFarlane's original artwork, he was like a great big guy. I always kind of liked that. He was this like huge, jolly dude. And of course, he's happy-go-lucky. Oops. Shins. Not shins, damn it. Thighs. There we go. So yeah, he's like his legs are. He's is just supposed to be olive drab, BDU, fatigues, whatever. And yeah, Hawaiian shirt with a with a BDU belt on. I think this is great. That looks like Chuckles. Very happy. Crazylegs is such like an obscure and short-lived guy. He was one of the he's one of the guys that was killed. But a basic gray and red, scheme is another paratrooper. So he should go in the line with with Airborne and Ripcord, and the three of them should look different to each other, and they do. Yeah, not much to say about him, but I'm happy with the result, at least for now. I wonder about the arms. I don't know. I like having the color broken up like that, and it may be that there's a better helmet for him somewhere. But for now, I'm okay with him. Crazylegs. Falcon, an important one, has got is looking pretty darn right at this point. Just camo fatigues, but real simple, and he's got the rolled up sleeves, the green beret, Army Ranger right there. Yeah, one head. He needs to look vanilla, like his like the figure. And that's real good, nice and clean. Stalker is the same way. It's essentially the same design as Stalker. Let's see. Yeah. And oh yeah. I wanted to do this.
Oh yeah? Terrific. Terrific.
There's no Don Johnson voiced thing in here, but there's a Dirk Benedict voiced thing in here. So I want to he was kind of like Face in the movie, and he had a lot of personality doing that, and I kind of want to follow through with that. Sometimes the voices can, most of these guys, with the voice and with the voices and stuff, I make them to where they have, if there's guys like obvious guys like Wild Bill who need to have a particular kind of voice, I go in and I've been able to, I think, account for most of those. Some others, just to try to break it up and stuff, I'm trying to give people different things, and that was one that I had thought of because I was going through downloading voice packs earlier and had grabbed that one. So Fast Draw with his Fafnir rig, I wanted to go heavy on the heavy. I had this on barbecue, and I have it on barbecue, but it doesn't, Fast Draw should feel like he's actually got supports doing stuff, right? So with barbecue, it's the only piece of heavy gear that he's wearing, or at least it's the only really sticky outy thing, right? But with Fast Draw, he's he's supposed to feel kind of like War Machine or something, right? He's got he's literally firing rockets out of a backpack and stuff, and he's probably needs some like there's all kinds of servo motors and crap that are helping him aim things and stuff like that, because that's the whole deal with Fast Draw, right? Is that he was firing mini rockets out of a rig that was basically attached to him like a exoskeleton. And so here's a guy where we could finally use the heavy lifting suit that comes with the game in a way that makes sense for a guy in here. Almost nobody would have this, but really he would. And this is an elaboration on what is his figure, right? Because his figure doesn't have this stuff all over him. When I was constructing him, I started playing with it, and I realized that this makes even more sense. And I think that they would have done this on the figure if they could have, because it makes because he would need this kind of rig. Just sensibly he would. So the one thing I couldn't do is get the blue also on his thing, so I put it on his weapon. I decided to go with the red and as like the secondary thing to the silver or to the metal. You should ideally have both red and blue in different places on his actual body, but that's okay. I like this. Fast Draw. Not a lot went on with him. Let's see. Jinx? Little Jinx? Made her smaller? Because it only emphasizes how much she can kick your ass. Let's see. Okay, so with Snake Eyes, I want to push the everything's a weapon. He's not a pure ninja. Storm Shadow is going to be the pure ninja, and Jinx is like this more of a pure ninja, but also like a hacker. And that's because that's how what she was in the comic was that was her character, is that she was both a ninja and a hacker. This was 1987. What can you say? But I like this pair of legs on the ninjas because it's kind of tapered. I don't want it skin tight on the legs. I want it to have it needs to have bulk, but it needs to be very streamlined and feel light. Karate pants or whatever. And then this top is this top is a little more high tech than I want it to be. But it's also the one that is form fitting and fairly light on details and stuff that I wanted it to be. And I've gone in a lot of different directions with at different times with her headgear, and I've continuously settled on this one as the one that works the best. I don't like her having the a skin tight thing on her head any more than I do on her legs, because it should feel more loose. It's that I want her eyes like this, with it tied below and tied above like that, and it's got to be different from Storm Shadow and Snake Eyes, and it is. So that's Jinx. I'm actually going to take a quick sidebar and look down here at Storm Shadow, because there's not really an appropriate place anywhere in here to do this. Maybe I should have done this back in 1983, but I actually didn't have this part until after that. So with Storm Shadow, I prefer to think of Storm Shadow as the post Revelation Storm Shadow, essentially, so that it is, I think of Storm Shadow as the Storm Shadow that trained Billy Arbok, that had shaken off the Cobra Commander's shackles and so forth, and was out on his own. He's not a G.I. Joe, but he's an ally to G.I. Joe's because he's basically Snake Eyes' brother. He's of all of the Cobras, he's the most important one to have as a character, because he should be, here you can see I have him as Soldier or VIP or Dark VIP. Actually, I don't want him as VIP. I don't want him to become like a scientist or something. But he could join us, or we could capture him. And I think that gives, kind of both. But here again, this is that same piece that Jinx is using. It's actually the very same design as Jinx, except for the headgear. And I have him set at the Soldier class as Samurai because he is actually going to be a pure Samurai. He's the only one that's like that. Like I said, more so than Snake Eyes or Jinx. I find this combination to be the best one that gives us, sleek, streamlined, single color. And I have opted to go with the Cobra style headpiece mask and the hood. I have not put him in the grayish camouflage because it just doesn't look as good in here. Maybe it's that I've never found the right camouflage, but I've found stuff that looks that looks pretty much like that kind of the squarish ones that he had, or the little rectangles that he had, and it just doesn't look good. So I'm sticking with the white Storm Shadow, which I think is the better look. And see, we've got hip dysplasia going on here. Yeah, there's a better design somewhere for these, but that's pretty good. So that's, I'm gonna go back. That's Storm Shadow, and so back to Jinx. You see, same outfit, different headgear. Okay. Law is one that I've had trouble with for so long, and look what we got now: a white helmet and these green legs. So these are always green, this is always white. I can make one thing blue, I can make one thing red, and boom, we've got Law, and he works. I think this looks good. It was just the white helmet. That was all I was lacking that for so long, and I thought, who's ever going to make a white helmet? This thing comes to the same, this XOF and XCOM is the greatest thing ever. Let's see. This is what he looks like. Look at that. That's just about right. Very happy with this outcome. No dogs yet. I'm not the only one who wants them. I've seen many people suggest that over the last couple of years this thing's been out. Let's see, what was I on? Outback. Okay, so here here we've got ripped up t-shirt guy doing his thing, and this is the same design I've really used for him. This t-shirt is actually designed to work with the invisible arms, because this part of this, there's actually other arms that I have in here that are going over this, but having this here makes it look more like he's wearing two t-shirts and they're sort of ripped. The top one's kind of ripped, and I like that because he's supposed to look kind of fucked up. And it's also got these around there, and I like that. It makes it, you know, it makes him look more rough. And yeah, that's all there is about him, really. Maybe someday we'll be able to just type things on type survival. But that's pretty good. We got a gray t-shirt. I couldn't change that color, I don't think. I don't think. Maybe I can. I don't think I can. I think it's always gray. Which is fine. That's works. See, like if it was blue, it wouldn't work. But it's, you know, white or off-white. That's good. It's just dirty. Okay. Psyche-Out. Always been a challenge. One of the dumbest designs. A dumber design than sci-fi. Sci-fi was at least cohesive. You know? With sci-fi, he was streamlined. There was only 2 colors going on, really, with that guy. You know... there was a theme. You know? With sci-fi, like, at least he made sense in context. But Psyche-Out, and maybe that's Psyche-Out's game, is he's dressing so stupid to throw you off. Anyway, components to Psyche-Out that were necessary: green torso, the same damn neon green, some kind of gear over it, some Lobot style headgear, gray arms, I'm not making this up, and black pants, which is the only sensible part of his whole ensemble. Blah, 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 blah. Dies. Here's Psyche-Out. And it could be a lot worse. It has definitely been a lot worse. I'll tell you that. I've had so much trouble with him. I've had more trouble with him and never gotten anywhere. And this, I feel like, at least is getting somewhere. Yeah. Also gave him longer hair. Makes him, give him a little more personality. So, anyway, he can use the psi powers, you know, because that's his deal, is like he can psych you out. So, you know, I don't really want to give superpowers to any of the guys during the game, but he can kind of come close. So, yeah, I don't hate this so much. These pauldrons here help out too, because that's actually ideally the green should go down to his biceps right there. But you know, the fact that I was able to get it this close, hey, it's only a win, I guess. Okay, sneak peek. Very simple design. I have always... He may have been the very first guy that I made when I opened this thing up that first day. There was a handful of guys that I made right away, and I did him as one of them because I knew, you know, he was easy to make, basically. And of course, you know, the details have changed and stuff, but this same torso, and the deal with that is that he had that sort of ribbed... What am I doing? He had that sort of ribbed front that was red, and most of him was gray. But he had gray with red blotches, but the front of him was, with this part in here, had red. But it wasn't so much red that the entire thing needed to be red. And this set of pouches isn't ribs, but it actually kind of looks like that. Let me take off this thing. You can see his legs to do this. Character info, attitude laid back. So, yeah, this is like his ribbed front. And if he's holding his gun, you can't even tell. All you can see is there's red behind that. Yeah, that's sneak peek for sure. And I always love giving him the 5 o'clock shadow because he's like behind enemy lines for weeks and shit. Right? He's not shaving every day. He doesn't wear a beard, but but he's but he needs to shave and stuff. Yeah, I like that. And I like this faceplate. He's the only one that uses that, I think. Okay, so that was sneak peek. And lastly in this group is Tunnel Rat. Tiny little Tunnel Rat at 43 is the shortest guy. I think technically Jinx may be slightly shorter than he is in terms of like actual height, because the men and the women are on different scales. But that's okay. Twitchy attitude, green shirt. This should actually be black. I wonder. Hang on. Those are just legs too. There's legs that are always black. I know there are. There's some. I didn't know. That. Maybe it's that. Yeah. It's not that. Not that. Not that. I like these better. Okay. I like giving him this thing Eclipse because he's one of the guys that can use the M60 or the cannon. He's got the actual Tunnel Rat blotches, so that's authentic. The short sleeves work with this torso without having the arm gap problem, and we've got right colors in the right places. And there's your tiny little demolition expert with the big gun, and I'm very happy with him. I can't wait to put him in a picture with Roadblock and see look at them next to each other. I hope it's as vivid as I like. That's going to be the real acid test of this thing. It's like, what do they look like when they're standing next to each other in the game, and do they have will the proportions look correct? And I may tweak things based on that. But I hope not. I hope I don't have to because I've already been working off a set of proportions, and if I change it, I may have to change it for a lot of guys. Okay, so Backstop, Chuckles, big guys, Crazylegs, Falcon, Fast Draw, Jinx, Law, Outback, Psyche-Out, Sneak Peek, and Tunnel Rat. And that's 1987. Nearing the end of the part of the main set. I'm taking this up through 1988, and everything after that's going to be the part that I was talking about, where you like the extra guys, so all the Deke era guys like Ambush and those guys and Salvo and all of them. As they get made, they'll I'll put them in, but not as the main soldiers. So 1988 will be next, and that'll be it. That's it for this one.